Okay, I see Letitia and Travis. Is that right?
Yes.
Do we have anybody else with us? Okay, do y'all have questions that we need to address?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I was confused when, you have the X and then it has the X plus 1. It's on the homework. Not the homework, but the class online. It's 3x2 plus 2x minus 4. I was real confused on how you got to, I kept messing that problem up no matter which one I did. And I just need to see it worked out one more time.
Okay, it's something like that. No.
Yeah, something like that.
F of x equals this, and you're supposed to find f of x plus 1. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're going to do is put x plus 1 in both of those spots for x. And to do this, you need to write out x plus 1 times x plus 1 and do the distributive property or FOIL it or whatever you want to call it, so you get that.
Okay.
Are you okay with how I got that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to jump from here then, and instead of x plus 1 squared, I'm going to fill in x squared plus 2x plus 1. That all still has to be multiplied by this 3. Now, for this part, I just need to distribute the 2, and then the minus 4 I just copy. And from there, I just collect like terms. So 3x squared, 6x and 2x is 8x. 1 plus 2 is 3, minus 4 is a negative 1. So that's what I got.
Okay, so that's where I was messing up on the...
All right, tell me where you were messing up.
The very last step of it, go up one, like adding all that together.
Okay.
All that. That's where I was messing up on, and that's why I was like, why can I not get this? But then that makes more sense.
Okay.
So I can go back and work on that problem.
All right. Sarah, you have any questions for us?
I don't. Thank you, though.
Okay. Travis, you have any?
Ma'am, I do.
Okay. I'm ready.
Alright. The ABC is plot each point, form the right triangle ABC. Alright. I have a hard time. I can do all of it except for right at the end. I can't get my radical. I don't understand how to get the two-part radical. I know you taught it a lot. The number in front of the radical, or in front of the radical, and then the radicand, right? So you got two numbers.
Okay. One problem I saw on your quiz, and this might not address your question, but I saw this. Let's say it was 5 times 5 times 2 when you got it factored out.
Okay.
Well, there's a pair of 5, so it's the 5 that comes outside.
Oh, that's what I wasn't doing. I wasn't factoring the number.
You moved the 2 out and left the 5 under here.
Yeah, I remember that one. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. So that's how you get your number outside of the radical?
Is you have a pair of numbers. Alright, let's just work an example and say you had the square root of 78.
Well, just so I'm absolutely clear.
Okay.
When I get like, say what was it? That's 50 under there, right?
Yeah, that'd be 50.
It says equal 50. Alright. I always factor that number, right? That 50?
Yes.
Or whatever it may be. If it's 34, 71, whatever.
Whatever it is, you factor it.
Okay. Yeah, man, I've been so lost on that. and then the examples they show you, they don't show you how to get from that point.
Right. They assume that by this time that you know how to simplify a radical. So,
And I should.
well, that's okay. That's what I'm here for, is to remind you, though. All right, but I don't want to do 78 because that one doesn't simplify. But let's look at, suppose you had the square root of 108. Then you would factor the 108. And it's 22333.
Right.
You see how I got that?
Right.
Okay.
So there's 1 2 that comes out and 1 3 that comes out, and the 3 stays beneath it.
That's correct. So because of this, I put a 2 on the outside. Because of this, I put a 3 on the outside. And because of this, I leave a 3 in it. So my final answer would be 6 square root of 3.
Oh man, I totally get that. See, how you had the 2 2s and the 3 3s. I forgot that you said, I remembered that every pair brought 1 out.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think I was bringing out both of them, and it was a ridiculous number. And I was like, no, I just don't understand.
Okay.
And I get it.
All right. So does that help then?
What you bring out?
Okay. All right. You have another question.
Actually, I did pretty bad on my quiz, and I printed it. That was my main one, though.
All right. Do y'all have any problem with going from a standard form of the equation of a circle to the general form? Do we need to talk about that at all, or are we okay with that?
You can go ahead and talk about it, because it's one of those I got caught up on and I can't remember.
Okay. So you're going to do...
Standard form would be like x squared minus 6.
Well, it starts off x squared plus y squared. And then it has an x term, then a y term, then a number, then 0. So you start with squaring this, just like we mentioned a while ago, using full or distributive, whatever. Okay, are y'all okay with how I got from here to here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing to y plus 5. So now instead of this, I'm going to copy this part. And instead of this, I'm going to copy this part. And then it equals 137. So the next part that I'm going to... Is there a question?
Oh, no, I was just saying, okay.
The next part I'm going to do, there's really some choices about the order that you need to do it. These are the things that need to happen. You need to combine this number and that number. You need to get it x squared, y squared, x, y number, and you need to subtract the 137. And those can kind of be done in multiple orders, so I'm just going to do it like this. I'm going to add the 9 and the 25 and get 34. Then I'm going to subtract 137 because this side has to be 0. Well, a negative 137 and a positive 34 is going to be a negative 103. And then the last step is to get it in the right order, which is x squared, then the y squared, then the x term, then the y term, and then the number if there is one. And lots of times this number has become 0 in the particular problems that y'all were assigned. It's kind of unusual for that to happen, but that has happened in several. Okay. Amanda's reporting that she's having trouble getting in. Did y'all have any trouble with it? Is there anything special I need to tell her?
Mm-mm.
I had internet trouble to start with, and it just kicked me out again, but I had to disconnect and reconnect my internet, so it's not what the site is at.
Okay.
Tell her to log off her internet and, disconnect and reconnect. See,
Oh, and also to make sure she's using the first link and not the second one.
yeah. If you can't click on it, right click and click open link, because mine wasn't a clickable link.
Okay, let me tell her to be sure she's using the I can't type as fast as y'all do. Alright. Is there another question? Okay. Have any of y'all worked on 3.1 yet?
I finished it this morning.
Okay. I hadn't checked Gradebook today.
What was it? The one that was right after the quiz?
Yes.
Yeah, I've already finished that one.
Okay. So y'all figured out about putting the domain in and interval notation, because I didn't really do that on the video, but
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it stopped me a couple of times, but then I figured out. I'm like, oh, okay.
The examples work good in that section.
Have you done 3.1, Travis?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think so. And with the one with interval notation, then if the
It was about finding the domain, like it would give you something like this.
Oh yeah, I did that one. And yeah, that's the one that the helped me solve it, and examples
Yeah.
work pretty good in that section.
Okay.
Yeah, that one was hard, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I had to print every example.
I used to solve it a lot too.
Okay.
So just figuring out how they want things written was
Well, and that's partly my fault, because the way I did it in my video was not how they want it written, and I didn't do a good job of explaining that, and I apologize for that. I'm just going to work this one out real quick, because there'll be some people that'll watch this video later, so let me run through this real quick. The deal is whatever's in the denominator cannot be 0. So you decide what makes it 0. I added 1, and then I'm going to take the square root, and the square root of 1 is just 1. So that's what makes this 0. So that's what x cannot be. And the simplest way is to draw a number line and mark what it cannot be with an open circle, and then decide how you're going to write that in interval. So this is negative infinity down here and positive infinity up here. So you have to go from negative infinity to -1. And that's an open circle because it can't be equal to that. Then you have to
right?
say it again.
Beside the -1, that's supposed to be a bracket, right?
No, it's a parenthesis because it can't be equal to that. If I made it a bracket, it would mean it could be equal to -1, and it can't.
Oh, okay.
Then we got to go from -1 to +1, and both of those have parentheses because it's not equal to either one, but just the stuff in the middle. And then,
yeah, pass.
and then we got to go from 1 to positive infinity, and then you put the little union symbols in the middle. So that's what your answer would look like. Alright, I'm checking Amanda's message. She still hadn't been able to get on. Oh, there she is. Hey. Okay.
I couldn't get it to load on my computer, so.
Okay. Alright, do you have any questions for us?
The only thing I had a question for, you're answering now, or just did, so.
Okay.
Is,
The writing in an interval stuff.
yeah, how they wanted us to enter it.
Yeah. I didn't do a good job of that one, and I apologize. That's one reason I wanted to talk about this one now. Let's talk about this one because this is another issue. So here's a new problem, and the directions are find the domain, and they tell you in the directions to do it in interval. They didn't do that in the book, but in the My Math Lab they specify that it has to be an interval. So this one's got multiple problems because this has a denominator. The denominator can't be 0. Add 4, take the square root, and so x cannot be positive and -2. And then because this is under a radical, it has to be greater than or equal to 0. So subtract 1, x has to be greater than or equal to -1. Now I think it works better to put this out on a number line so you can see what you're doing. You've got -2 with an open circle because it can't be -2. You got +2 down here with an open circle because it can't be +2. And then you start from -1, which is right here, with a bracket because it can be equal to, and you shade to the right. Well, you've got to meet all of those conditions at the same time. So this -2 is not in that group, so we don't have to worry about it. But we do have to worry about leaving this 2 out. So we have to go from -1 to 2, a bracket on the -1 because it can be equal to, a parenthesis on the 2 because it cannot be equal to, and then you got to go from 2 to positive infinity. Remember, we always use parenthesis with infinity, and then you put a little union symbol in the middle of them.
What does that union symbol mean?
And,
Means
I'm sorry, it actually means or. It's in this group or it's in this group.
Why can't negative 2 be included? I'm sorry. Oh, never mind. Now I get it.
This condition has to be met, and that's not in that group anyway. So, if your equation was something like this, then the only condition that has to be met is that this part that's under the radical has to be greater than or equal to 0. So you add the 35 and divide by 5. So if we looked at that on a number line, we would start at 7 and go to the right. So our answer is just 7 to infinity. And that one is just one part. That you don't have to have multiple parts with that one. Alright, the two things that I've gotten questions about was on circles going from standard form to general form. We talked about that. And then I knew I needed to talk about this part. Is there some other part that maybe y'all got right just by trial and error, but you really don't really know how to do the problems?
Probably a good bit of that. To be honest with you, that's how I did some bad on the quiz. And you won't prize.
Did you say that 3.1 won't be on the midterm?
It's not on the midterm. That is true.
Okay, well then.
But you need to get it done by tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's not on the midterm.
But a lot of them that I did get wrong, I would have like a plus sign or a minus sign reversed or something, and where I'd be took it one step too far, or
All right.
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm most nervous about having to take it on the computer. Like you can go back and like double check when we do your written ones, but like I make a lot of stupid mistakes the first time through. So I have been lucky that I correct them the second time on the quiz, so that hasn't been an issue for me, but like I'm a little anxious about that with the midterm, just because sometimes you forget how they want it entered and things like that.
Any of you that have a scanner, after you take the midterm, if you're not comfortable with your grade, if you can scan your work and send it to me by an email, I'll look through that and see if there's some partial credit that I can do.
Okay. That would be awesome.
But all I ask is that you make sure your work is organized. You know, it says clearly, this is number 1, this is number 2. I don't want a paper that's written on all like this and I got to figure out where in the world I got to look for it. But if you do it organized and want to scan it and send it to me as an email, I'm okay with that.
Will you go back and look at mine? You can look at the ones I got wrong and how many tries it took and what I put first time, second time, and I'll catch you.
On your homework?
Yeah.
Or your quiz?
All of them, actually.
All I can see is what you put for the final answer and what the real answer was supposed to be. I can't see how many times you tried it.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, that's all we get to. Oh, maybe you have more access to that. It's not that I don't fully understand how to work it out or how to do it, it's how to end it. How to end it. Because there's so many different forms that it asks for. You know, I print out just about every time I come across the question, I print out the example because I can go back and if nothing else, even if I can work it out, I can look, make sure my answer is the right form. because I get it wrong like that.
Yeah. Well, if you want to review something to get ready for the midterm, the best thing to review would be the 2 quizzes. The quiz from chapter 1, quiz from chapter 2. Because if it wasn't on the quiz, I think I'm safe in saying it's not on the midterm. I don't want to go 100% there, but I'm 99.9% that if it wasn't on a quiz, it won't be on the midterm.
Good. I got a lot of examples printed out, and it gets me a long way, but it still don't. I like to be able to do stuff on paper. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm giving you that option to send me your work.
Okay. All right. That's great.
Because I know that helps. And sometimes, even if I can't give you, a lot of credit, it helps me to be able to communicate with you how you made your mistake. Just seeing a wrong answer, I can't necessarily say, well, you used a 4 instead of a -4 or whatever. I just can't do that unless I can see your work.
All right. Then you can find my trouble area.
Okay.
I can't seem to find it. I get stuck. I mean, I'm doing all right, but I'm really bombed on my last quiz.
Let me see. Somewhere I kind of wrote out some date stuff. The good news is that for this week, because you're going to do the midterm, you're only going to have one section of homework, which is 3.2, and it only has like 4 or 5 problems. Because I wanted you to have the time here. Now be sure, did y'all understand from my email that you get to click into this one time? You can't save it and come back later. So be sure I've set the time limit for 3 hours, which it shouldn't take any of y'all that long. But be sure you've allotted a 3-hour slot where you can work on it, so that, because it's one time, one sitting, one time.
Something I noticed that wasn't on chapter 2 quiz, I'm just curious if it'll be on the midterm. I didn't see anything from the last section 2 on circles.
Yeah, I mean,
so is that going to be on the midterm?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't have any trouble with that section. I was just curious.
Yeah. I should have a question on there. But I can't remember. All right, hang on. Let me reply to Marilyn just a minute. I don't know. I can't answer that question because I don't remember. But I will check that. But if it is, it'll be just like the homework. Like, here's the center and here's the radius. Write the equation. It'll be an easy kind. All right. Anybody think of anything else? Okay, so this will be the assignment that what I'm calling for April 13th. Because that's today, and so technically that's when we would have had class. And then we've got the 20th and the 27th and the 4th, and then your final will be May 11. And that week there'll be a final to take and nothing else. So we're wrapping it up. I know it's been hard for y'all, and I'm sorry, but that's where we are. All right. Anybody got a question for me? Anything that I can help you with?
I think if we could send you our work printed out with, with the adjustments on it, I think that's about all the help I can ask for.
Okay. Well,
So just so I'm clear, you're saying, like, as we're doing the midterm, also write it clearly on a piece of paper, and if we don't do great, we can just scan that to you and you'll go over it?
yes.
Okay.
Because I need to see how you got the answer that you submitted as your answer.
I wonder if we could print it out.
You can print it out, but all it'll print out is the questions and the answers. It won't show your work.
That eliminates a lot of the writing. Do it as you go. Like, I meant print it out ahead of time. You know what I mean? So
No, you can't do that. When you log on, that's the only time you get to log on, is that one time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're like, when you log on, I wonder if there's a print option. Where
No.
You go ahead and
No, you can only print it after you have submitted your answers.
Okay.
And that's not something I set up. That's the way my math lab is designed for tests and quizzes.
That would be a neat feature, though, to be able to print out a worksheet.
All right, I think our time is probably drawing nigh where they're probably going to cut us off. So do y'all have anything you want to talk to me about? Oh, we got 4 minutes left. Okay, we're good. We can sit and look at each other for 4 more minutes.
I just want to say how much I appreciate your videos and everything that you do for us.
Well, I'm trying. It's not a perfect world, and like I really feel bad about this 3.1 because I didn't do that very well. That's why I want to talk about that tonight. But anyway, we'll see.
And did you record this meeting?
I did, and so I'll post it. Yes.
And there is a way that we can go back and look at your YouTube videos, right?
Oh yeah. You can log back onto those anytime.
Okay. Because those really help when I get lost. I get lost a lot. So I'm like, what? Well, let me rewind this. What did I hear?
All right, well, we're done. Good night, y'all.
All right. We'll see y'all later then.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.